Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having...
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
I'm gonna stop right there. We don't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. We have Drew come to the dark side, and more importantly, a dark fellow side. Model 3-in. Take that one, Michael.
I have chosen.
No. Okay, so here. I'll start off with the fact that Drew asked this question, was it like 4 or 5 episodes ago, about what he should do?
Yes.
And you recommended Model 3, and I also recommended Model 3, but I gave him the option of go for the LFP Model 3, and if you still want a 4680 Model Y, go for it. And I'm pretty sure in that video that you posted, Drew, that's what you said.
Well,
so I'm taking all the credit.
Okay.
No, I refuse. I never swayed my answer.
We're going to have 2 Model 3 owners on the show.
I never swayed my answer. Furthermore, I was so adamant, like I was so convinced you were going to reserve the Y. I thought that it's
true.
It's so appealing, and I think had there not been the price hikes that have came,
the Y is a better car. I'll openly say that it's a better vehicle.
You are definitely correct.
when we had that beautiful little unicorn of the standard range, that right there was peak Model Y Tesla. Like I feel like that was S tier in every sense. That was God mode. That was life hack.
More S tier than the Model S.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It is that right there. Had you stuck with your initial plan pre-COVID and you got the Model Y then, or had you got a Tesla, yeah, I would have thought, yeah, this guy's getting a Model Y. But
had we have known that it was going to be taken away, we both me and Louise were like, we should have ordered then. That would have been the perfect vehicle. Although I'm not completely upset that we're not getting that one, because the range would have been pretty bad. Yeah. I mean, not only is it 244 miles of range, but it's also nickel-based batteries, which means 80% every day.
Nickel-based or nickel-back?
For daily driving...
Am I right?
Your nickelback cathode.
Look at this graph!
He says, look at this graph, and it's the battery health deteriorating. But yeah. So the fact that for daily charging it would have been at like under 200 every day, and then we would have owned it for years, and it probably would have deteriorated to low 200s or below 200 is like, yeah, not great. I mean, we like the hatchback and stuff, but yeah, definitely felt like we were making up use cases for the Y that didn't exist yet, and they may become real, but yeah. We've had a sedan for a long time, and it has not been an issue, but...
Yeah, and I saw how comfortable you guys were in my Model 3. My selling factor to you guys is that both of you fell asleep while we were driving, and I was like, all right, if you're comfortable enough to get a quick little Z in.
We did?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
When we went down to the Mexican border.
Oh yeah, I guess we did.
I remember that.
Because Nick,
I wasn't there.
Even Nick in his, Bowser driving Mario Kart, yeah. Like that, even Nick was just like, he's trying to get a little comfortable, whatever. But you and Luis.
Well, that experience was what motivated Louise to want the Y so much. I was like, is it really the hatchback we plan on using that much? And she said, no, it was sitting in the back seat. She was tired of her head bumping the column.
Oh, you'll never be back there again unless you want to.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying. We're never going to sit back there. We'll always be in the front seat.
Gentlemen, Brittany lives like a queen as my co-pilot, so...
Yes, for sure.
Can't agree.
So I've definitely spent more time in the Y than any other Tesla, Mike's Model Y, so that's what we were used to.
Yeah.
And it's just the price difference that was too good to pass up, and the fact that the Model Y is very confusing right now and still is, and I have a feeling will remain to be confusing for the foreseeable future, like, because we both agreed that the value of the Fremont Model Y was not great. You know, it was the highest price it's ever been. The batteries are still yesterday's tech, and we were mostly kind of interested in waiting after battery day because we were like, oh, these new batteries sound awesome and this next generation factory and, you know, manufacturing. So we were like, oh, let's hold out for that. That should be done by next year or maybe the year after. And here we are, and it's like, maybe the East Coast. I'm interested in what's going to happen, but I'm not willing to, you know, go through the whole ordering process and have that stress of like, what's it going to be, or should we take delivery over here? And we were doing all this research of what we were going to have to do to take delivery out of state if we wanted to go to Florida or go to the East Coast and accept it there and then drive it back. And I was like, this is stressing me out even more. Like, I don't think I'm interested to do all this just so we can have a bit more cargo space in the back.
Yeah, the only reason why the wife and I got the Y was future-proofing, like you said. Like, all these use cases that you're kind of making up, those were the use cases that we were thinking of as well. Like, maybe not car camping, but going camping or at least being able to tow something where it's built to tow compared to a 3 where you have to get that installed a certain way. It's not really factory installed necessarily.
Yeah.
So, when
Except in Europe, for some reason.
I guess people do car camping in Europe with Model 3s a lot more, or tow a lot more. I don't know.
Why do they get the tow hit? I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, but that was our reason was
Europeans are smaller, my friend. They don't need all that.
We wanted something that was able to do a lot of things, and also whenever we decided to have kids, we would have the space for whenever we have strollers or when we're carting around a whole bunch of sports equipment for soccer or hockey or whatever the kids get into. Basketball. I mean, that's not too much equipment for basketball, but still. We wanted more space, and so we future-proofed and we got lucky. Versus you, I would say we got... my wife and I got really lucky when we got our Y because it was like 1 in a million. There's only 2 left on the lot, and we just so happened to call it the perfect time to where the other customer declined the delivery. So then we got to have it. With you, it's kind of like the opposite problem where everyone's buying all these Ys, and there's these new ones, but... we don't know when they're coming out and where they're going necessarily. It's always a guess every single day on Twitter. I see, I think this is a legitimate order. Yes, it says
And we
Austin.
definitely didn't think it would take this long to find out. Like we were talking about it all, you know, last year before we had announced the plan, and we were like, it should be done. The factory should be done by the end of the year, and then we'll know, or then maybe started this year, and now we're, you know, into March, and we're still like, maybe something might happen.
It ain't Giga Shanghai. And it ain't that.
No.
What was the what was the final blow for me was realizing that the demand backlog is crazy.
Takes forever to get
even
away.
on the cheapest model. If we ordered now, we still wouldn't see it until December, and if we could opt for the white interior or something and move that up, but now it's even more expensive than we originally planned. And if Tesla introduces a new Model Y of any kind, whether it's high range or low range, they're going to experience either massive cancellations or even worse backlog. Those are the 2 options. So I was like, from a business perspective, they've said they're chip supply constrained this year, not battery. So if you're chip supply constrained, there is literally no point to introducing a standard range or LFP option, because it's like, we're going to sell every car we make. Might as well sell them all at 60K or more, rather than, hey guys, we've decided that with the finite number of chips, here's a cheaper Model Y. And I was like, even if they do a cheaper Model Y later, because that was our whole paranoia of like reserving one is it's non-refundable. So if we order the 3 and then a LFP Model Y comes out, we can't swap to that for free. We're going to lose $250. And even if they did one, there's only a $6,000 price difference between long range and rear wheel drive right now on the 3. $6,000 between the Model Y. If they did introduce an LFP model, it would still be $53,000 and before tax and stuff, and it would be probably not as efficient or not as good range as the Model 3 rear wheel drive. So we were like, we'll save money and get probably better efficiency. As far as I checked the fuel economy on all of Tesla's options right now, and I believe the rear-wheel drive 3 is the best in terms of watt-hours per mile, as far as I can see. They used to have one that was better in 2021, but the range was worse. They had a rear-wheel drive that did 262 EPA, and it had a miles per gallon equivalent of around 141. And now they've increased the range by increasing the size of the battery pack, or I think they just changed the powertrain. They swapped it with a slower motor. So the 0 to 60 got worse, but the range went to 272 instead of 262. So
Makes sense.
That worsened the miles per gallon equivalent to 132, I believe. So it's a little bit worse than the all-time best electric vehicle efficiency, but it's up there, which matters to us because we're not getting any free supercharging miles like we originally were hoping to. Felt weird to order a Tesla without using someone's referral code, but that's not a thing anymore. So
You didn't have to choose between me and Randy. Which referral code to use? Which you'd
His
obviously use
real
mine.
friend.
What?
I feel like because Mike has so many, I would probably have gone with Randy's,
Yeah.
just to keep it equal. But
The Model 3 bond
Also,
is
it's
something you'll never understand, Mike.
it's a 3 for a 3, so you gotta keep
A
it
soul
even.
for a
Can
soul.
I know. 99 souls.
There was also, I will mention, there was some decent used inventory models going around that I was considering. There was a silver, so
I'm actually looking. I'm
discontinued
actually on that
color.
tab right now. I was just looking.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was going to
There
give you
was
the
a
whole
silver-
certified refurbished pitch.
Yeah,
But I wanted to
except
get my
same thing.
facts in line first.
Apple certified refurbished is like the polar opposite of Tesla used inventory.
You don't know what you're
Because
getting.
Yeah,
you have
it
no
is.
clue what you're getting.
is.
But it was $41,000 for a silver long-range rear-wheel drive from 2018.
Back when they
No
did
FSD
silver.
though. Yeah, so I was like, that's our favorite color. Like, we loved that color when it was there.
Yeah.
And at new, it had 325 miles of range. It had 60,000 miles on it, which is kind of high, so I assume the degradation probably keeps it around 300. But I was like, hey, that'll probably go further than the LFP, and it's cheaper. But then what convinced me otherwise, and especially my wife, is the lack of liftgate and the Intel processor. It's like we really were interested in the AMD upgrade that was going to make the computer and infotainment much more responsive, and I was also kind of excited to try out the new Matrix headlights that they've now been legalized for. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I've been defending, the other argument is I've been defending the LFP thing a lot. I've been advocating for iron phosphate, and Elon has said this is what most batteries are going to be in the future, and I've heard people in the comments say great things about it so far. Someone somehow commented from China. I don't think YouTube's there, but someone was like, I have long range Model Y and an LFP Model Y, and he said that the LFP Model Y often beats the range estimate because of how efficient it is. So I was like, maybe that 270 is closer than the 330 that the EPA reports on. So I was hearing so many good things about it, and I do have that, as Randy knows, I'm a very vote with your wallet type guy of like, I'll buy things that I want to see more of. I'll buy them out of principle, like the 12 mini or the Series 7.
That's right.
All those little things. I'm like, I want Apple to do more of this type of thing, and this is my first Tesla product, so I'm like, I'm gonna vote with my wallet towards what I want to see more of. So that's.
You should have just bought his
That's-
LFP Model Y, Drew. You could have gave him an offer and then shipped it all the way to the States. Then you have your LFP
Might
Model
have
Y.
been cheaper.
And quicker.
Actually, there's a few people in our EV streams that have gotten the standard range Model Y in the US when it came out, and they've said it's, they love it and it's great. And I was like, how much you want for it? And they're all like, no. You can't. But pretty much, if you find an unused vehicle lots or anything, if you find anyone selling a standard range Model Y, you can't get them below like 50 grand. They're all selling for 10 grand or more than what they paid. It's amazing.
I have a story to share with you guys.
Ooh, do tell.
Tomorrow, or today, if you're listening or watching this show the day it comes out, I'm going on a test drive for the Model Y.
Oh,
Just for fun?
test drive.
Test drive with, Tesla the company, and no, not just for fun.
What?
We'll see what happens.
Oh God!
Hey!
When this can happen?
Why, team?
Stand by.
Okay.
We've been talking, my better half and I, and
Oh God.
we realize, in all in context of like buying keep waiting for something to happen type of a thing, we don't know if we will have the patience to wait until we even get to the time of Cybertruck. So,
Right. I forgot you guys had one on order.
yeah, and the problem is, we do want, need a utility vehicle, and
Okay.
we need something that is ideally, if not a bed, hatchback, so you can put the seats down and use as storage, something to future.
Because you still have a SUV, right?
No SUV. We don't have anything.
I think they have two
You're
sedans.
just on the Model 3? That's it?
We got the Model 3. We do have Brittany's Yaris, but that's a coupe with a hatchback. It's a 3-door.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, no,
Yaris.
that's not an SUV. Oh, far from. That thing's tiny and dinky, and that's why we call it dinky.
Well,
it's
not a very specific name. I mean, many would say the Model Y isn't either, but
It's a compact SUV.
It's more of an SUV than the 3-door. Yeah, than the Yaris.
Yeah.
We still have that, and we plan on. Okay, I'll go there. Big picture. That car you're referring to is going to go back to San Diego, and that's going to be our commuter car for whenever we're in town visiting. We'll probably keep it at our property, or we'll probably keep it with family, and that's going to be our California,
Gotcha.
San Diego vehicle, because we don't want to rent or borrow people's cars. So we're not getting rid of the car. It's just going to be one of those things that when it's there, and we don't really care what happens to it. The Model 3 will be with us at all times, and right now we're watching my brother has his Honda Accord on site with us here while he's deployed, so we've been using that as our other go-to when we want to kind of like alternate. And the realization that I would say Brittany had, not it's all common sense out loud and something we know on the show and even in our own little circles, but gas is not getting cheaper.
That's $7 here in the Bay.
Oh my god!
It's how much?
$7, I believe, in some places if you look for it.
Oh my god!
But that just
No
means
way.
it's going
I
to become more
haven't-
prevalent.
No way.
Ironically, we haven't been driving very much in the past week, so I'm scared.
So
going up?
listen, more to the point, up to $7. Oh, we know for a fact as a family unit, we have no interest in ever buying another gas or diesel or anything like that ever again. EVs going forward is our vote with your dollar, and
Same.
we also know we want to get this other vehicle ideally sooner rather than later, and we were promised a Cybertruck, a long time ago. And now we get to the point, kind of like what you're also alluding to, Drew. When it happens, what's the new price going to be? What's the new model of the quad motor? What's that backlog looking like? Who's getting prioritized? Do we get to go first? Are we waiting another year until they start to get the...
Worst case scenario for every one of those questions.
Right. And all those things, we want to travel. We want to have the ability to... lug around gear that doesn't just go into a trunk. What if we have kids by then? Car seats is a thing. And Like it's an EV. It's a Tesla. It's bigger than an EV. It's a Tesla. Like how cool would it be just to have another one here? And we already have the Model 3, so we have the sedan, and we're happy. And it was always our intention to build out our little family line. And at the time, going back 2019, we were like, okay, yeah, absolutely. Let's pre-order the Cybertruck. That looks cool. The prices are awesome, and maybe we'll see it in 18 months. So,
not happening.
You know, at this point, it's not that we're impatient, but it's that whole, if you keep waiting for the right time, you're going to be waiting forever. And
you're not impatient. Tesla's just late.
Tesla's late.
There's a difference.
And I talk with my dollar, and I put my money where my mouth is. I've done it with the Model 3. I will do it with the Model Y or anything else that might come between now and then. But at this point in our chapter with our family, we would rather have the vehicle now, or a vehicle now-ish, than to keep waiting for the Cybertruck. With that being said, we're not eager to buy something effectively tomorrow. We want her to just get familiar with the cabin space and move around. She knows how to operate the Model 3 just fine, and it's more just kind of understanding. So they like, do you want the long range or the performance? Like, long range. We're not interested. We're not trying to have like a fun speedy go time. It's more of a practicality just to see how does she feel using this type of cabin space. And something came out of this conversation I didn't realize. She's no longer interested in FSD. Period. Just period.
Wow.
She's like my wife.
After her experience. Yeah. Sounds like every wife. Yeah.
Yeah. She's been watching how the Model 3 has been behaving lately, and she's like, it's scary how it's doing some of these stuff, and I'm like, it's still beta, babe, and she's like, yeah, I hear you. You know, I'm over here. I will. This is the hill I die on. And it's still beta, and she goes, good. Yeah, it's fine. It's gonna get better. I feel like that guy who can't like let go. It's like, no, the band's gonna make it. I promise.
It's been 5 years, dude.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
I can quit whenever I want.
Yeah, whenever. And I'm like, no, the beta's good. It's gone. You should have seen it before. She goes, yeah, I know, great. And I didn't want to use it then either. So her thing is, not even interested in the FSD at all. She goes, autopilot. Perfect as is. Because she's like, am I wrong for wanting a Tesla and not full self-driving? And I'm like, no, that's not why you do it. But it's a cool little bell and whistle. When it was $6,000 for me, I was like, screw it. I almost said a bad word. You know, like I'll do it. You know, like that was the line for me where I was like, I'm not going to do a penny over that. Heard it was $7 with the Cybertruck.
Now it's double.
Now it's double. So now let's talk about the Cybertruck. We acknowledge and we will take delivery of the Cybertruck when our queue comes, regardless.
Really?
Wow.
That's a
lot of money.
In previous conversations, that was not your answer.
Given this new enlightenment about what we wanted to do and how we want to go about this, we will 100% bare minimum take delivery. We will be the first drivers of our Cybertruck, of the Cybertruck that would be reserved for us. That will come to us. And we are gonna buy it. What we won't do is probably hold on to it. We have a choice to make at that point.
Oh, okay.
Right there with you.
Keep the Y, or trade it in for the Cybertruck. One of the two vehicles.
If you sell the truck, you'll make a profit.
Absolutely. At this point, though, we're not looking at it for the monetary value. We are looking at like what's gonna help us when that day comes. What are we going to? Where are we going to be at as a family? Where are we going to be stationed at? Are there going to be children? Are we going to be overseas? Like, all those things actually play a factor into what our next move will be. If we're overseas, we'll take delivery of it. We'll probably sell it, but I'm going to get some good videos out of it. I'm gonna milk it for what I can out of it.
As will I.
Yes.
I'm coming to wherever you are in the country.
Yeah. As what will happen, what will be with it, and then we will say after I
whoever's
squeeze
in my
it.
social circle that takes delivery, I will find you. I'm not going to ask for an invitation.
I will find
just
you.
going to be there.
I'm just
I will
gonna
kill you.
How did you find me? Come in.
Liam Neeson here.
Yeah. I have a certain set of skills.
Prepare for delivery.
Yeah. Hey, I just got my confirmation. Drew.
Hello.
That
yeah,
will happen.
So, worst case scenario, or in the scenario of not holding on to the vehicle, take it for a little bit, have it for maybe a month, sell it. Best case, or the case that we keep it, we'll probably just sell the Model Y back to Tesla, or we'll see where we're at with it. Because if
You don't need 3 Teslas, is what you're saying.
no, we don't need 3.
You need
we don't.
4.
We don't want it. we need Sextrator. Kika said she wants one. Hey,
CYX.
hey,
You need a 6.
CEY or
That's it.
C3Y. Key. Or
Yeah.
Well, that's an exciting development. I mean, especially considering you're on the East Coast, and there's a lot changing with the Model Y right now. So there's a chance someone on the show might get a hold of a 4680 Model Y now.
Stop it.
It didn't drop to 0 as of a few days ago.
Yeah. Before I was holding out hope, but at this point I've given up and just admitted that the benefits of Giga Texas coming online are mostly going to be for Tesla. I don't actually think from a consumer perspective it's going to change very much. The range will probably be the same.
Nope.
Yeah.
The best thing the consumer will get out of it is probably better build quality. I assume quality control at Texas would be
Eventually.
probably better at
We'll
Fremont.
get there.
But yeah, also Elon has said that during ramp up that's a bad time for QC. But also Giga Shanghai didn't seem to have any issues during their ramp QC wise. They had better than Fremont even though they were scaling. So I think that's the best case you'll get out of it is, well, the paint looks good. And people on the East Coast will be happy about that. People on the West Coast will have to put up with
If we don't get
Fremont.
something by 2024...
2 years.
I say that because by 2024 we're done with Virginia, and I'm gonna be
Yay.
really cranky. Yeah,
Get out of there.
I'm gonna be really really cranky. If there's at this point I'm not ruling anything out because I think our next eyes, it used to be Texas, but we're kind of actually hoping that we go to the Pacific Northwest instead. And that means we would do the same.
I'm heading that way. The day we take delivery, I'm heading to Washington.
Yeah, yeah.
north.
My brother's getting stationed there. We got family that's moved up there. So
Not moving, for the record. I hope no one thought I was moving.
no, just to
Following
go
his
up there.
parents.
I've never been. Side non-EV related thing. In May, I'm taking my first trip to Seattle. I've never been to Seattle like that.
No,
So
it's nice.
Oh, cool.
Definitely go to Pike's Place.
I was just there.
where are you? Nice. I'll look into that.
We flew back from New York and
Yeah.
stopped in Seattle. But
So
did
did you know
Spray-
their toilets use rainwater?
and it tastes amazing. I drank
you a
the
golden
tap
retriever?
water from Portland, and oh my god, that water was clean.
Oh.
There's no California
toilet.
muck in their iron thing.
What color does Brittany want, or at least what color did she want
Yeah,
the Model
that
3
was
to
my
be?
next
She wants.
question.
Okay.
What
so
specs?
we built it out. Let's do it right here.
You want to do it right now? Because I kind of built one that I think you guys would get. I'm assuming it's a
Okay, I'm gonna build mine. You have yours, and then you're gonna.
It's yours, isn't it?
We're gonna see how
the
it's
exact
close.
same
It
model.
probably. I mean, from previous
Hang on.
conversations, it is mine. Just, I would recommend the Gemini wheels only because you get more towing
Stand by.
and you get more
Stand
range.
by. I'll tell you exactly.
You were going to get the Gemini wheels, weren't you?
Yep.
Originally?
The original idea is we get the Arrow wheels, but then they killed the Arrow wheels for the Y. So then
That's what
Right.
she wanted.
we had to
Okay.
Do you think that would have been better?
the 18-inch Arrow wheels on a Model Y. Thinking about
that
how kind of the size of my current 20-inch wheels on the Y still kind of looks small to me for some reason, but seeing an
they
18-inch rim on there.
It's
Oh,
because
Okay.
we've seen performance models, and the performance models look so good.
oh, they're all
And they have
stretched out.
huge-
It's great.
Okay.
Did you? All right.
I priced
I
it
wouldn't
out.
buy them, though.
Was it?
Price it out, and tell me what you recommend, and I'll tell you what I have.
Oh, well, I think I just said it. Model Y long range with the Midnight Silver Metallic with Gemini wheels, a tow hitch, and maybe the white interior.
Oh man, you were on a streak and you started slipping.
Oof.
Long range, silver, midnight silver metallic, induction wheels.
No,
Hitch, black interior.
No.
don't do the induction wheels. I mean, they're great.
Hey man,
I love them.
She, last we talked about, she said that she might consider Gemini and then upgrading later, but she's very adamant about the wheels and she's adamant about the tow hitch.
Just the aesthetic.
No, not the aesthetic. She cares about. She did it. She did even her Yaris. She got bigger rims for her for her Yaris just because she didn't want the OEMs that came with it, but the range. You know what? I'll give it to you, Mike. I think I will speak on behalf of her, as every husband should not do. And I will say Gemini wheels because I'm looking at the price difference, 330. Or I'm not price difference. I'm looking at the range difference of 330 and 318, and I think she will be happy with that. So I think
you can always take off the covers as well, or you can do what other Tesla owners have done in the past, and which I've seen in the Bay as well. They get those pop-off rims.
Tape cardboard to it.
What? No, they get them powder coated. Or like they get them basically a shade darker, so instead of the silver, it's like a gray.
Issue. I think I can get the sell on her just for the range alone. But while the midnight silver metallic is included, that's the one I would have gone with had I not planned out this whole matte shtick. I'm married to this persona now, so
midnight silver is a good color.
That color a lot.
Every time I look at it in the garage, I'm like, "This is great." Oh, you're gonna get black.
So I was correct. It's basically I was correct then. It was Mike's Model Y is what she wants.
I keep forgetting that is a free color because I told her, "What if the color wasn't that
free?" Except it became free at the same time they rose the price 1,000.
I asked her. It's like, all right, say that wasn't the color. You had to pay for that one. Which one would you have gone with? And I think she would have been eyeballing the black because that was a clean black.
That was my next one. That was my next idea.
Increase your likelihood of that would jump your likelihood of getting a 4680.
Yeah.
The black and blues are most seen on the Austin lot.
Bizarrely, black is 1,500 extra now.
Yeah, I know.
Yep. So it's a little bit more expensive. But
y'all remember when it used to be a free color? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
That was a long time ago.
I feel pretty cool about that.
Very vividly.
Out the door, let's just round the $10 up and say 60,000. And that's not to include the taxes and stuff like that. Here's the thing, though. Looking at the price, I will tell you this because I pitched to you guys what we're planning out with the Cybertruck. We're not gonna pay the Model Y all off up front. We're not gonna. We are going to put down a very hefty payment, and then wait it out to see what happens with the Cybertruck. So the actions of the Cybertruck will dictate what happens with the Model Y. Will we pay it all off, or will we just turn around and sell it and just kind of go from there? But
interesting.
It is interesting that you and I have again the same mindset on the Cybertruck. Take order, right? Check it out. If we don't like it, get rid of it, make a profit off of it. And if we do like it, I think this is maybe different from you and Brittany, but I'm pretty sure after a while of driving it, if my wife doesn't like the yoke, we're just going to get one of those steering wheels that you could pop onto it that you see on YouTube for like Model 3s, but the opposite. So we would do that if we love it. But if we don't love it, then we don't go for it, and then we just
have you seen the aftermarket Model S steering wheel?
Mm-hmm. It's not terrible, but it costs like $1,000.
It's a trapezoid.
Oh my goodness!
Ooh. It's a steering trapezoid, not a wheel. But that's interesting. It's an exciting development. We're not talking any EV news this week. We're just talking about what we're getting.
We're excited about you, Drew. You're getting an LFP,
well,
so then Randy's like,
Randy.
Maybe I need to get a car.
Well, if Drew's getting one, I have to get another one.
Does this mean I have to get one now?
So here's the thing. We finalized our thought process about what the next step was going to be, and booked our reservation for Saturday. The next day, you dropped your video.
Nice.
So what's your guys' timeline? I know you said you're not looking to order tomorrow, but like,
Okay, well, if
are
we
you
did
hoping
order
to take
tomorrow,
delivery at?
if we order tomorrow, the soonest we would get it is August.
Yeah.
We'll have
Like
to
where,
do a follow.
where do you want delivery to be ideally? When do you want?
They see that's
yeah,
I kind of
because you did
I
say
wish-
2024. By 2024,
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
want
say that
Tesla.
because we would 2024 as in we wouldn't be in Virginia, so there's no way we would get something from Giga Texas, and that would kind of then dictate what would happen. Do you guys hear that?
Oh yeah, sounds like a garbage truck.
That's
I
me.
thought that
It's on
was my
end.
headphone beeping.
I thought it was me.
There's a garbage truck that has to beep as loudly as possible on our street,
he's still going.
especially
How-
when
Come on, Nicola. We need to make quieter garbage trucks. Why aren't you working on this
Please.
right now?
Yeah, the beep is purely because of the combustion engine. That's the only
Exactly.
reason.
You know, it could very well happen that we would. We're okay. You're asking me maybe one day too soon because it really depends on how she feels after she drives the vehicle.
I see. She needs her
And-
opinion on it.
This is her thing. I'm just being the supportive, supportive house spouse, and
This will be her car.
this is 100% going to be her car. I just
Gotcha.
pay for it.
She's very lucky, and that's how that works
You
too.
can't say that.
I just played. You
can't say
I
that.
just played. I'm playing. I
You're
think
lucky she doesn't listen to these.
hey, I would make the same jokes if she was in this room and she would hit me. But
No dinner for you
Yeah, you
tonight,
would.
honey.
yeah. But it's my birthday.
While we're speaking on our wives' behalf, I should.
Yeah, I noticed there was a lack of Louise in that video.
Yeah.
I asked her. I said, "Do you want to be in it?" And she was like, "No, I don't." But we had a lot of talks, and I don't think people realize how big a strain in our marriage this vehicle has been. And
Oh no.
we it's just all the different planning and all the different range numbers and all the different, it's stressful. It's not knowing what the future has, and I'm very apologetic that she married a guy who's a fanboy and interested in all this. That I feel bad for her. I really do. But there was a conversation we had before we placed the order of would I be comfortable waiting on placing our order if she's comfortable with getting the Cybertruck. That was a conversation. So we
Whoa.
were like, she was like, I'd be willing to wait, and I was like, I thought you didn't like the Cybertruck. She was like, whatever.
What?
What? So that conversation happened. It didn't last terribly long because I explained to her that the prices at unveiling are not accurate. So we went through that whole thing, and I was like, okay, if we wait, we have to be comfortable with the idea of spending $65,000, $70,000 to $90,000 on this truck. And she was like, no, we're not doing that. That's not going to happen. She was like under the belief of, isn't the dual motor 50,000? And I was like, remember that.
In 2019, maybe. Starting.
She
With the
was not
rebates.
interested in paying. From the beginning, our whole mindset with this was like, regardless of how good the value is or how great the vehicle is, we're not open to spending much over 60,000 on the car. That was kind
It's a
of
lot
so.
of
The
money.
Model Y long range was already pushing it past our barrier, especially after sales tax and registration. It's closer to 65, 66,000. So we were like, okay, this is already pushing outside of our normal budget. If the dual motor came out and it was 65,000, that would be like 71,000 after tax. And
And you got insurance
we were
for
like,
a truck
yeah.
and an EV.
That too. It would be less efficient and higher insurance, but I was a little excited there for a minute because I was I was like, maybe we're gonna be the Cybertruck people. But yeah, I think definitely the reason I was most comfortable getting like basically one of the cheapest Teslas you can get new was this does not feel like a buyer's market. In the EV sense,
Not for Tesla,
this is
no.
all on the company's advantage right now. Like Tesla can afford to jack up prices they can treat us like garbage. they can
we'll say
give us no
thank you
Cybertruck
afterwards.
updates. And we all have to, we have to take the spit in the face and go, please, another, we have to.
Thanks for the
have
visual.
to just suck it up. And I know this sounds like wishful thinking, but I don't think this will last forever. It feels like forever because it's, ever since the pandemic and the chip shortage and, driving up the inflation going on. There's a lot of bad things that have impacted Tesla, and I do think that the demand has never been higher, and that's resulting in these price hikes, and the production capacity is not scaled yet. So we're not closing off the idea of the Cybertruck or the Model Y in the future. It's just we want to see what Tesla does when they're trying to be competitive. And I feel like Tesla has not been competitive for years now. They're just like, we're going to charge whatever we want because we know you're going to buy it. We know you want it.
It doesn't
And
help
once
when
Giga
information like
Texas
what's
is-
going on with Rivian and the competitors out there that
Oh my God.
that Tesla just like, ha, see?
We're jumping into that.
Well, yeah, I want to jump into that, but just to finish my thought, like, once Giga Texas is fully ramped, and Elon said they want to scale up Fremont even further.
2/3 of
once they
EVs
can
are built
actually-
at Fremont right now, by the way, which is a lot of
In
EVs.
the US.
Yeah, in the US,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an insane amount of vehicles, and they want to ramp up. Once they can actually catch up on demand, and once we actually have, like, clear details on here's the 4680 Model Y, here's the not 4680. I do think that we will eventually reach a point where Texas will build the high-range models, and Fremont will build the standard range models or the lower range rear-wheel drive options. And I don't know when that'll be. It'll probably be when the demand starts slumping. So it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. But I know after having our conversations for the past 3 years about what Tesla we want, and my worst fear was that something would go wrong with our current Hyundai, and I would have to buy another gas car while being in the
Never
EV
again,
space
my friend.
as a
Never
content
again.
creator. I was like, that's my worst case scenario, is that I'm using money that I make via podcasting and videos and live streams to pay for a gas car. I was like, I'm gonna die if that happens. I can't. It was like, so that's why we, drew our line in the sand and said we're getting a Tesla this year. I don't know which one or how we're gonna do it, but we want a Tesla. So if we do think that the market will be more competitive and Tesla will lower prices in the long term, then get the cheapest one you can now because it's not a buyer's market. And actually a big variable that is kind of pending what our future EV plans are is the Aptera. If the Aptera comes out, which I'm not counting on because it is a startup and there's a lot of, especially with the Rivian thing, we're just going to call this podcast the Rivian thing. But there's all this
The Rivian problem.
startup issues with either inflationary pressure or chip shortages or all these things that are stacked up against Aptera. Although, what did their blog post say, Mike? I didn't catch it.
So I skimmed through it, but the recent blog post, which coincidentally came out on the same day that Rivian had their price hike, which angered everyone and caused 50 or more % people to cancel their orders. In that blog post by Aptera, they were still steadfast on producing a vehicle that starts at 26K. But they mentioned also in that same sentence that with federal incentives, that knocks it down to like 19K. So you're getting an EV for under 20K, and that's their goal. I don't know if they'll reach that goal, but that's their
Right.
desire. Which
I'm still doubtful.
I'm doubtful too, but it's a great goal to reach, especially in the market
Sure.
that we're in right now. And
It's very inspirational, and I applaud them to fighting for that. I just don't want them to go bankrupt again, I'm just like...
please don't.
Yeah.
That's why I'm all about trying to understand businesses from both perspectives. I can understand from a consumer perspective why someone would be upset by something, and I also need to look at things from the business and say, okay, from the business's perspective, this has to be this way, or whether it's FSD development or software sales, or
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah, it can't be all one.
And
or
you're
the other.
lost.
If it's all business side, then the consumer gets screwed, and if it's all consumer side, then the business will die, and then they won't be able to exist anymore. So it's all about finding that balance, and that's why sometimes when companies are like, "We need it to be cheap," I'm like, "Are you gonna be okay? Can you afford it to be cheap?" You know, like,
Especially in this market.
But I'm not trying to get like, we're not planning for it to work out, but we are still weighing the possibility if the Aptera does happen, and they do start deliveries and the range numbers are good and stuff. I'm not expecting them to be accurate. I'm still counting on 70% of what they claim is going to happen, but I still think that's great. Then having an Aptera and a Model 3, we both agree would be pretty redundant. They're very similar size. The Model 3 can seat more, but I don't know what circumstances I'd be like, well, in these situations we'd use the Aptera, in these situations we'd use the Model 3. It'd be like, I think just for the solar charging I would be using
Why
the Aptera
is there an
like all the
iPhone
time.
2G in the photos? that you
Yeah.
sent?
So,
What photo?
we'll try and include in the edit, but I sent 3 photos to Drew and Randy on Aptera through the years, where Aptera posted on Twitter of the original design, which very much looks early 2000s with the interface and all that. And there's
Because the iPhone 2G was new when this rendering was made.
and then the more recent render of it that has kind of a weird shaped steering wheel, and then the
It's a
new
yoke.
one that came out recently with a yoke, which I would say if Aptera becomes a success and they do so, and maybe they don't hit the price target, but they're able to produce these vehicles, I'm okay with them going bankrupt years ago, because the inside of that original prototype looks like something that I drove in Tahiti, which was absolutely terrible, and I loved it at the same time. It was all...
Well, the interior was not why they went bankrupt. But,
Well, no, but the Twizzie's interior, if you know what a Twizzie looks like, you should Google a Twizzie, a Renault Twizzie. That thing is hilarious. Anyways, I agree with you, Drew, though. The redundancy of the Aptera and having the Model 3 as well, you kind of have to weigh the options of, is Aptera going to get supercharging access? If it does, it doesn't really make sense to have the Model 3, even if it's got LFP batteries, if your Aptera has 1,000 miles of range. Only because I find when I park at work, I lose about 3 or 4% of my range during hotter days. And that's because...
Is Sentry mode on?
Sentry mode is on. I also have the cabin heat protection thing on as well.
Gotcha.
So that might be kicking in. So that's probably why I'm losing it. But it would be nice to have a vehicle that can charge 40 miles or 30 miles or however long during the time that I'm working. And it's for free. I don't have to pay for it. I don't have to plug into the company charger or go to the charge point or supercharger or somewhere else and plug in. I could just let the car sit and I get range. Like, who wouldn't want that? Besides, I guess
would love that.
The sacrifice you make is you only get 2 seats. But from, was it Aptera's recent video, the storage doesn't look half bad in that back compartment.
It's a decent sized trunk, yeah. So basically all I can say is, if the Aptera does hit the market, that will change some things for us. That will definitely be on our radar of like, we want one. Yes, we will get one if they do come out. Definitely assuming they honor their referral program, because I have a crap ton of Aptera points that I definitely want to use. And I'll continue to talk about the car in videos, which will probably rake in more points. But in that case, we could easily see ourselves selling or trading in the Model 3 for a Y or even a Cybertruck potentially once we know more information on it. Because, I don't know, Elon's comments recently about what their biggest challenge is with the Cybertruck gives me a little bit of hope that it might not be as expensive as we think.
Cool.
So that, seeing him say like, our primary challenge is affordability, and then he said it's relatively easy to make an expensive pickup truck. it's a lot harder to make one that, you know, is affordable and people can actually buy. So seeing him say that again in 2022 is like, maybe the reason they're pushing off the truck is because he's really passionate about an affordable price. I don't think that means the unveiling price. That's, I think, completely out of the...
It's going to be above that, but it's going to be below something ridiculous like what's going on with Rivian, where...
Right. I think that's how I interpret it, too, is like they want to kind of undercut everybody with the truck. And if that's the case, then I'm still very interested. not the quad motor probably, but whatever the
just wait for the Wolverine. But wait for the Wolverine one, Drew.
Yeah,
that one's the one to get.
I don't think my prediction is they're not going to do a Wolverine. I think that they've shrunk the dimensions of the actual truck and they're just maximizing the interior space as best they can to hit the original specs. Like, did you see what Rivian does with their tailgate? How it kind of like goes outward and extends the bed length? I think Tesla's going to do something similar. They're like, the bed when closed is 5.5, but you fold down this tailgate thing and it's 6.5.
Yeah, you got the
that's
midgate
what we
too.
said it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm predicting they're trying to find a one
from
size
a certain
fits
point
all.
of view.
Yeah, correct, Alec. But there's potential in the future. It's just all of those things that we're excited for between 4680 or Cybertruck is not soon. It's not this year. It's all going to be 2024, 2025, 26, and with the back order, the quad motor Cybertruck will probably have it. Could be years before they make a dual motor that's more affordable. So. In the meantime, I want a safe vehicle. I want a autopilot. I want software in the car. So this is perfect for that. And if nothing looks good in the future, then no problem. We'll just keep the 3. No issue.
Yeah,
I could hold on to it.
Reliable car.
But
best selling of well, no, it wasn't ever best selling. It's still a pretty good car.
I think it's the best selling EV.
Model Y, maybe.
Ryan from Tesla China or something had some
that would make sense.
Breakdown of registrations.
Yeah.
He had Model 3 ahead of Model Y in 2021, but probably because of Giga Shanghai.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Giga Shanghai definitely helped with Fremont on that front.
Yeah. I think 2022, the Y will definitely outsell the 3, but 2021 is probably the last year the 3 will be the best-selling EV. Either way, I like it, and I'm super duper excited. I just hope they don't like move up our estimated delivery date
to tomorrow.
Until tomorrow. Yeah. It's like, it says July. I'll be ready in July, Tesla, because, you know, we want to hold on to our shares if at all possible. So
yeah. That's the goal. Especially right now. But I'm excited. I really can't wait to review your car, Drew. Since you reviewed mine, I'm going to review yours. And no one will watch my video, but that's okay.
I'll watch it.
I don't think it'll be terribly interesting. Everyone will be like, yep, this looks like every other Tesla.
This is the 2022 standard, or not even standard range, rear-wheel drive Model 3.
Yep.
Right.
Those
I'm
are cameras.
I'm going to show you all the quirks and features.
And that is a paint job right there. Look at that. This is called the quarter panel.
So I've talked endlessly about the Rivian thing this week, but I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts because I know how I feel about it.
It makes me very sad, especially from someone who got to see it up close and crawled through the vault and all that.
Literally
crawled through it. It's a beautiful vehicle. I've got it up on this other screen right here. I'm looking at it. It's a fantastic
You're wearing
car.
the shirt, for Pete's sakes.
I still support the company, even though all this crazy stuff that went on. I guess a quick summary is Rivian decided as a company, I'm not too sure if RJ was too involved in this decision. I mean, you'd think he would as he's the CEO. Anyways, Rivian, the company, made the decision to increase the price of everything by giving a price tag for a lot of things and also increasing it. And at the same time, applying that to people who have already pre-ordered the truck.
Everybody.
And everybody else. Yeah, I guess I was saying including those people as well. Which is It's a very strange and concerning business decision, and because they made it at the time before they stepped back, I understood. I'm like, okay, if they're having to do this, it means things are really bad, and they need to find some solution. And it sucks, but it also helps their demand problem where they have too many people asking for this truck and waiting and calling
really
and all
helps
that.
the demand problem.
It definitely does, and I was like, okay, well, I guess if they think this is the best thing for the company, it sucks for consumers, but I'd rather see Rivian as a company in 10 years still thriving, or at least still producing vehicles on their own volition, than being bought up by someone else. So it sucks, but maybe it's a necessary evil. But then they step back like a day or two later, and they're like, okay, we were probably scummy on charging people who have had pre-orders since the day one, like showing off the truck and then telling them, it's going to cost you actually $20K more or $15K more. I think $15K is like the average increase price, but a lot of people see $20K.
Yep. 12K was the lowest price hike I saw.
I think that's very kind of them, though, that they recognized, or maybe not kind, maybe they saw so much demand loss that they're like, this is maybe a worse situation we put ourselves in.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a very mixed bag of emotions for me. I, as you can tell, I'm still wearing the shirt, so I still support them. But it'll be interesting to see what 2022 is going to look like for the company. How many trucks they're going to make, how many R1Ss they're going to make as well, and what their profit loss, or I guess profit loss, those are two opposite things, what their profits and their losses are at the end of the year.
They won't know the word profit for many years to come.
No, but neither did Tesla. And Tesla basically just had investors backing them. Rivian's got Amazon and probably a couple other good benefactors. So I don't think necessarily they're like on the chopping block, but if they continued what they were doing before, it wasn't going to end well, like you said, Drew. So I think this change is necessary, in my opinion. It was very messy and gross, but that's humans as well. They're very messy and gross. So this mistake is a very human...
I showered last week.
It's very much a human situation from both parties. I've seen people in the media just be like, cancel Rivian, it sucks, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily like the response that we need. Upset and disappointment is valid, but I don't think telling the company to go die is the correct path forward. I definitely think it's more of...
I have one question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Do you still have your Rivian stock?
I have my one... How many? I think I have one Rivian stock, yes.
One.
Just one. I think it was only... Was it one? It was either one or
the
five.
Old Steve Jobs, huh? Still want to get those earning calls, but
That's what I did for Tesla initially, and then I got hooked. But maybe Rivian will turn up in the same situation where they're at a loss for years, which I think is true. Very likely. And then they'll eventually get to the point where they're finally going to define a product. Their problem is making a product that's competitive and more desirable compared to the rest of the competition, where Tesla didn't really have that much of a problem. Their competition was the Bolt and the Leaf.
I also think Tesla never was doing so much all at once. It definitely felt like they handled one ramp at a time. It was like,
yeah,
let's do the Roadster. Oh my God, this was a waste of time. Let's not do this anymore. And I think they killed the Roadster before they even started Model S production. Right?
I'd have to look at that timeline, but
there were no Roadsters built in 2012. As far as I'm aware. They stopped producing it in like 2011. But as they were selling the Roadster, they were like, okay, now we're working on the Model S. And then they built just the Model S. And that was the only vehicle they were building from 2012 till 2015.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, they were like, yeah, but we're working on the Model X. It's going to be here eventually. And it was super late. I think it was 2 years late. And
no, not Tesla.
They've set new records in late now, but
that feels like
then
on time.
ramped the Model X for a couple years, just focused on that. Then the Model 3 started in 2017, unveiled it in 16. So they've always had this tradition of like letting people know what their next vehicles are, but only ramping one at a time.
Yeah.
And definitely did not even think about having a second factory until 2018 or 2019 was when they started moving on Giga Shanghai. I guess they had the Panasonic facility in Nevada, but that was just batteries. So I see them
count
as
Nevada
like,
as one as another one because it's of its size and its relevance to. I mean, that's the soul of, or at least the blood for sure of what all these products need.
There's not enough love for Giga Nevada.
I have a lot of love for
the
that.
problem
Nevada.
is no one wants to be there.
Yeah,
No.
but it's a necessary one. You know, like it's like working at a corporate job that has like a dedicated building for data entry. Not the most sexiest department, but
No.
it's vital. You know, your guys' input about the Rivian situation is definitely, in my opinion, I feel it's more critical than mine because you guys got to see it in person. My takeaway from it is I feel like this is power of the course. Anticipate it. This will happen again, either to Rivian or it will happen to Aptera, Lucid. I mean, yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened to Lucid yet.
How much more expensive can they get with Lucids?
How much more?
I guess the gravity.
But, this EVs as a whole. What
Tremendous weight.
I want to remind everybody. Tesla got lucky because timing is everything, and they got lucky to survive when they did survive, when they were on the brink of their own bankruptcy.
I'd say they had Elon. That would be my argument.
Sure.
It's kind of the fanboy thing to say, but I mean, if you just look at SpaceX and how close they were to dying and what they accomplished, there's an example of like when the going gets tough, that guy doesn't quit, you know. He just throws everything into it.
Yeah. Well, he's an example for people who counter by like, oh, you know, he's just another businessman. Like, in this sense, Elon can't be bought. Like, this had nothing to do with the money. He was funding it out of his own pocket. That was his money, and he did it for. It's like, well, if this goes under, then I go under. At this point, like it wasn't about the money, and anybody else would have thought about like we should probably think about cashing out or selling the company and do something a little bit more business like in the sake of profits and investors and blah 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 blah. But Rivian, I expected something like this to happen. Maybe at some point. I don't have a timeline, but where I'm getting at is with Tesla being Tesla, is everyone looks at that. Look how successful it is because of these new vehicles. When Tesla's been around over a decade, and they didn't have an easy startup. And if we apply the same timeline of their existence to a Rivian, Aptera, Canoo, etc., these guys are going to experience the same issues Tesla did, but in a more modern format because they still might be pioneering a little bit, but Tesla kind of paved the way already about how that's working, and they're not. I don't expect to see profits from any of these companies, at least until the 2030s minimum, and that was my prediction with Tesla, and it just happened sooner. I'm like, oh, okay. But like in my mind, when you go into a new sector like this, one that was met with criticism from legacy automobiles, governmental criticism as well. Everywhere you go, it's been an uphill battle. Oh, my dog's throwing up. What? You right there? Well, I'm gonna just be away from the camera. But where I'm getting at is, I'm sad to see this happen with Rivian, but I kind of like. I expect to see this happen more often with other companies as well, and I hope that they can recover from it, because if Tesla can do it, then you know, patience.
Yeah,
it's
a big mess. It's definitely a big mess. Talking about big messes, I guess, since you slightly follow Canoo as well, Drew. With the developments happening in Oklahoma, where Tesla, I guess, if the bill passes, which it sounds like it's going to. Where Tesla can't have service centers in Oklahoma, and can't sell cars in Oklahoma. What do you think the future holds for future EVs there, like Canoo, who is building or going into a factory there to build their EVs?
Yeah, not anything good. I have a feeling it won't pass, just because it sounds too ridiculous. But maybe I'm having too much faith in government.
It's the Midwest.
I don't have much. I don't have much in the first place. But Tulsa was very passionate about Elon coming out there, and I remember how hard they were fighting for their factory to come there. In hindsight now, it's like, oh my God, thank God they did not. It would have been a nightmare if they were trying to get this factory online and simultaneously there were these anti-service bills going through. And it was like, oh, actually, you can't do any of this stuff here anyway. So I think it's ridiculous. And typically, I don't know. Usually when there's laws that sound too bad to be true, they end up not going through or someone appeals them. I could definitely see Tesla trying to appeal the result. Just, I don't know. Anything that ticks off a large number of people usually gets heard by the government pretty quickly. And this would tick off a lot. And I think would definitely hurt them in long and short term. It would result in less people wanting to live there. And it would also result in less jobs, less service centers of growing automakers instead of legacy auto, which isn't doing too much right now and not going to last. And I don't think all these legacy or dealers or service stations that they're trying to protect are going to survive the EV transition anyway, unless they adopt and catch up with the times and realize this is the future, this is where everything's going. So even if it does pass, I still see it as this is probably going to be temporary once they realize how much money they're leaving on the table in terms of their economy and people willing to live there and work there. And it's like you want big trillion-dollar companies setting up infrastructure in your state. That's a good thing. They providing jobs and providing services and providing superchargers or whatever that people can hang out at or check out and charge. And these are all good things. It's like it might be different. It might be, you might find out that the smog check locations are going to become outdated, and you might find out the oil change businesses don't need to exist anymore. But it's not going to work if you try to just pretend they don't exist. You can't it's the equivalent of plugging your ears and yelling whenever someone approaches the government with a new idea, a new vehicle. Maybe they don't need a union. No, it's like no, it has to be this way. Yeah, I have a feeling it's not going to go through, but that's all I got.
What do you think, Randy, about... I don't know if you heard a bunch of that, but...
I had you guys in my ears, but I was multitasking.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask me again.
Long story short, Oklahoma is possibly passing a bill where Tesla has to evacuate or just not have service centers there anymore, so they have to close up shop and then not be able to deliver vehicles there directly. So with companies like Canoo, who are actually building EV factories there to build their product, what do you think about the future of EVs in Oklahoma, I guess, in general, or maybe specifically Tesla and Canoo or other future manufacturing there?
Yeah, first reaction is kind of what Drew said. Thank God Tesla didn't go there.
It would have been bad.
That would have been really awkward.
Yeah.
I think it's a speed bump. I don't know if it's going to be nobody says, especially in the U.S. of A. You know what I really would like to go to? Oklahoma. Sorry for any Oklahoman listeners, but you know I'm telling the truth. I want to go to New York. I want to go to L.A. I want to go to Miami. I want to go to or if they're feeling a little patriotic, I want to go to Texas. And even then, Austin is not the pinnacle of Texan, but no one says I really want to go for spring break, Oklahoma. So, and I think the government knows that the state government knows that. I don't know if this is actually going to be a long-term thing, because much like the Great Migration that we have people coming from the West to just West and North, they're doing this, and they're just filling out the rest of the country right now because of prices and everything because of the pandemic. I feel like businesses also are kind of in the same notion. You would think that a state or city level government would do everything they can to get your business to give them a reason to be on the map, to be more competitive, to compete with neighboring states or industries. And I don't buy, or I don't understand the whole limiting the ability to sell automobiles because you have some type of lobbyist funding group thing that's happening that's trying to stop new competition to come in. Like it's not
they're really pointless when they have to pass laws to keep their jobs in place.
Yeah, like the thing is like the beauty of us being kind of a capitalist society here is all right, fine. If not you, Oklahoma, Tulsa, look at I really need you. If not you, someone else will. Someone will come in and make an offer or try to get the business going. And listen, if people are going to take chances on crypto and NFTs and thinking one of them is bound to stick, then on a more tangible level, people need to start taking a little bit more chances on other businesses that are trying to provide a service or a good to the economy as well. And I don't think Oklahoma's going to be that dumb about it. I hope they're not that dumb, because they already missed the big one by not getting Tesla there as close as they were, at least as close as it was looking it was going to happen. So my hearts are with the Canoe Company. Thoughts and prayers.
My heart's there too. I'm definitely they're one of my fan favorites in general. Like Tesla's great. I love their products. Rivian's awesome with their adventure stuff. Lucid's cool with all their high class features, I guess. I don't know. Canoe's the cool one to me overall. I don't know. I like you, Drew. I haven't been able to sit in the thing. I don't know.
I don't get the luxury argument.
I don't know
really
either, but that's what I'm getting at. Is like Canoe offers a whole bunch of unique stuff, and that's what we need in the EV space, is very unique things that drive people into these cars. Whether it's something
exciting.
That, like you put your phone in a dock and it acts as your speedometer. Who would think of that? And like maybe that's the future. That's what happens, at least for the next 50 years. Instead of having these giant iPads that are integrated that come with the car, you just have your own device that you plug into it, whether it's an iPad or iPhone. Why am I saying all these Apple products? It could be Androids too. Anyways.
You know why, Mike. You know why. Come on. You know why.
I wonder why.
I like how everyone refers to any large touch display as an iPad now. It doesn't matter what it's running. It's
a tablet? You mean an iPad?
I buy with my dollar.
When Randy rented the Model 3 and drove it to my hometown, I took it to my parents' house, and my mom thought I had mounted an iPad on the dashboard. She's like, "Oh, that's cool. You put a mount in there." I was like, "No, that's it. That's
them. That's not me."
She was like, "What?" Yeah.
This is a Drew
Everyone
thing
just calls it the iPad. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, my point is we need more, like you said, Randy, open-mindedness for new things. We don't have to eliminate dealerships if dealerships are so worried about being phased out, but that's the changing of the times. But I'm not... Personally, I hate dealerships. But I guess on a maybe not altruistic, but I guess a level playing field, let's just let the free market be a free market. Let's let opportunities happen.
Well, that's what they're afraid of. That's the problem.
But I guess
they're afraid that if there's a free market, then they'll go away. And I'm like, well, that should say something about your job.
Yeah,
that should say something about your product.
Yeah,
or your
if you're worried that if you don't pass a law that your business will go out, then maybe you need a different business. I mean, it sucks.
Unless the law is
a bit
unfair.
of a bummer.
But that's a whole different argument.
Sure. Well, I mean, I have to take this reality every day as well. Is like, I not so much in the EV space, but I have managed and run a tech channel that focused on Apple and electronics for many years, and I'm seeing tremendous decline in interest and views and watch time and income, and I'm not alone. I look at all the other tech channels covering the same stuff, and they're all getting a fraction of the views they used to get a couple of years ago. So I understand there's a demand that used to be there and it's going away. I used to be able to make a certain amount by covering this or by documenting this sector of the market, and now that's in decline. How do I process that? Do I look at that and think, well, we should pass laws that prevent my job from going away, or should I adapt and realize maybe these people are going towards other things? Maybe I need to
channel.
Yeah, maybe I need to move in another business and find where the demand is instead of, well, no one would use my business if this business enters the market, so we should ban that business so that I can stay afloat. It's like, it's not sustainable, because if there's not, in the future, there's going to be a shrinking amount of demand. What are we doing here? We're just going to prevent people from buying or using services and products that they like because you want a job. Therefore, services and products can't get better. I don't think that's going to last. That's like a short-term thing. The people advocating for this that are for the law passing are like trying to iron out the next couple of years probably before they retire. Like, that's it. New generations aren't going to want to. I want to be a car dealer when I grow up. No, people are going to say I want to work on oil changes and smog checks when I get older.
This baby gets you 28 miles to the gallon.
I would say, like, before the internet, I could understand the purpose of dealers. But in the age of online orders and internet communication, that we can have service appointments done on the spot, and cars are smart now, and the car has internet, and the car can self-diagnose, and if there's a problem, someone can come out and fix it on the spot. And we're transitioning to cars that just inherently have less maintenance because regenerative braking, no oil changes, no transmissions, no gearbox. There's so much that we get to bypass now. So I'm like, you gotta change career paths. You gotta figure out where there's demand for, and I've got to deal with that too. It's my own battle. I understand it's kind of scary and it's kind of sad, but people are nostalgic for things, but that doesn't mean we need to prevent the new stuff from coming out,
Yeah.
Agreed.
I just want to, once again, I've said this before, but I just want to once again extend a sincere apology to all the Rivian reservation holders over the past week. What a stressful time. Can you imagine what was going through all their heads and minds? Like, I want to give a special shout out to the Rivian Stories website and channel. Those guys, I watched their last couple episodes about this whole price hike thing, and they were losing sleep. They were in an emotional wreck. Like, the amount of hype and excitement they had following these products, and the amount of anticipation they had. Their main host was like weeks away from his first delivery. He was like,
"Oh no,
I'm gonna be taking delivery in a couple weeks here," and they were pumped to talk about their experience and cover it, and all of a sudden to get a $20,000 price hike a couple weeks before delivery, and weighing out how you're gonna do it, and then them going back.
That's a sour taste in the mouth.
But I maybe it was intentional, but it surely made everyone probably feel like they had a great deal now. It's like, even though you're paying what you originally thought you were going to pay, I bet they're all like, wow, what a great price. Like, this is a tremendous value. And I mean, I think there will be a ton of Rivian flipping, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I know Randy expected it, and Mike was saying it's kind of a necessary evil. I'm still very much concerned. I'm happy for the consumer, but to me it's a very, very bad sign. And I think that if you consider all the other things they haven't even started yet, like their service stations or the charging network and all the other stuff, like the R1S has barely even ramped. Like there's so much stuff they still have to do. and knowing that they're having this kind of back and forth on pricing is like.
I take it a step
At
further.
this point,
Besides just saying that I was expecting it, not every new EV company. I would argue most aren't going to make it. I think that's
I hate that idea because I don't want that to be true. But
no, for sure. But they can't all be gems. Some of them are going to be lemons. Some of them aren't going to make it, and they're going to write it out. Maybe as long as they can, try sell some IP or some patents or some and cash out that way. I just don't. Knowing how the government likes to regulate, as well as people short-term expectations don't meet actual long-term goals. I liked Rivian the most out of the non-Teslas, and I haven't ruled them out yet, but I'm not shocked if they actually just cease to exist as a company. If they only exist through, some type of merger or sell-off of sorts. But, okay, so we got Canoe, Rivian, Lucid, Aptera.
Lordstown.
I don't even know that one.
They're about to be a penny stock.
Three of these companies will cease to exist.
Ooh.
I would wager 3 of them will cease to exist in some capacity.
Okay.
2 of them might stick around by name only. I'm not the 6th one. I'm not even acknowledging Nikola, even though they technically are still around.
I don't think they've transformed, in my opinion. They went from we're producing every single product that you can think of that has 4 wheels and no wheels with boats to we're just gonna focus on the tray. And maybe we'll get to something eventually. So.
After we had that big car boom that happened in the 40s and 50s, actually 30s to the 50s, not all of those made it either.
No,
we'll see that again in the new era with EVs. So we got 6, 3 of them still 4. I'd say 2 of them will definitively be okay in some way, shape, or form, and the other 4 won't. And that's not something we're gonna see happen tomorrow, but it will happen in this decade. That it's just.
I'm predicting a lot of buyouts. I don't see anyone just going flat out bankrupt and dissolving, but there's so much interest in EVs, and there's so much if your company was going under. Amazon could buy out Rivian for dirt cheap. They'd probably.
But Amazon, that's not their
fraction.
main money, right? That's play. That's play money to them. They don't care because
but I'm saying for play money, they could buy them out if Rivian was seriously going under. They wouldn't have to pay $50 billion. They could get it for 10 because it's your alternative is going away. And I don't think it would be a good scenario. I still would rather Rivian be its own thing. But if Amazon bought them out, they would probably just keep the delivery vans going. They would just turn them into the delivery van company, and the R1T and R1S would become.
So that's an example of me saying they live on by name only, but not really. That would be such an internal thing that they
lose their identity.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to buy them. We don't. There's no. Technically, the creators of the company that started Siri exist.
Yeah,
but it's not Siri the way they intended.
No.
So yeah, I mean, by technicalities, maybe all these guys will be around. But I
still think Apple should buy Lucid. If Lucid,
hey, it would be within brand, but I just don't understand Lucid. I call it Lucid will be one of the first to go away. There's nothing proprietary that excites me about
luxury.
It's about the Mets.
It's about drive.
Oh, stop.
This is worth twice the price because this material.
It's leather.
I like this fabric. This fabric pleases me. But they're struggling with the software department right now. Lucid, watching all the Lucid Air videos, that the software just sucks.
We need more software engineers.
And Apple is great at that. That's the one thing I was thinking of when Mike and I were ranting on V11 and all the annoying infotainment things on the Tesla. As I was like, Apple probably would get this pretty good.
They're spot on with that stuff.
Apple would probably, well, we complain about iPadOS all the time, but we're complaining about why can't this, edit videos, and Tesla, it's like, why can't I just tap a button and it, turns on the heat seater?
Why is this button hidden behind a button so terrible?
I don't know.
Throw it away.
But if Apple took over Lucid, it would go well with their brand. I could easily see the white Lucid Air in every Apple store and everyone standing around it playing with it.
And you got the Mac Pro right next to it. And you got the iMacs right there.
I mean, one thing I noticed about all of Rettinger's videos, both on Sandy's channel and on his, is he loves talking about how the display is 5K. It's a 5K resolution. It's a
what?
I could tell Sandy was like, what? I don't know what that means.
What's the battery look like?
No one's complaining about their...
What's the door look like?
Car's pixel density on the display. Well, maybe me, but
I would say so for, the Model 3, Model Y. I'd be picky about it because that's your only interface that you're looking at. And especially when you're supercharging. I want something good to look at when I'm supercharging. I want to watch another Disney Plus show, another Hawkeye episode or whatever at high quality.
But you notice your use cases are like for when I'm streaming or watching stuff or playing games, whereas the Lucid 5K display is an instrument cluster. All it does is tell you your speed and,
I need to see it in 5K precision. Every single pixel needs to be there.
If I see
that
a
kind
pixel...
of resolution... I'm going to be complaining that it's 60 hertz. That's what bugs me.
What?
But I want 120 hertz on my display.
Cancel.
My finger moves quicker than the motion itself. Get this trash out of here.
I could see Apple bragging about the Lucid display and the range, and we have the... it's like the AirPods Max argument. Is this the most popular pair of headphones? No, but with the Lucid Air, they'd be like, we make the farthest range EVs in the world. It's like, yeah, but 5 people buy them, but whatever. We just make the best. It's like Peter Rawlinson is discount Johnny Ive at this point. They could go hand in hand. I wouldn't be shocked if Peter starts doing voiceovers for new iPhones and stuff,
Nice.
I just think Lucid needs something to set them apart, and right now I can't figure out what it is.
Luxury. That's their word.
But even
I know.
Even the owners are like, yeah, the EQS is better.
What?
Rettinger himself was like, it's not as comfortable as the EQS. And
that's because Mercedes been in the game for years at this, or decades, decades upon decades.
I know they have, but I'm like, if you're
luxury
spending $180,000, if you're dropping $180,000 on a car, I don't want to hear you say, well, it could be better. It's like, that's so much money. That needs to be, everything is perfect. There are no flaws. I will not tolerate anything. That's why I will have flaws with my Model 3, and I'll be like, yeah, but it was a cheap one, so whatever.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah, I don't think if I had all the money in the world, I would buy a Lucid.
No,
I would get a Model S or a Model X.
Oh yeah, I would definitely buy a long range.
It's the network. Like Tesla has the network locked down. I buy into the network. I just happen to have a car that's compatible with it that was a little bit cheaper than an S, but
value.
I think the Apple integration would give Lucid the next.
You need that vertical
level.
Ecosystem. That's what you need, and no one is close to Tesla still, which is why they will inevitably.
We're gonna go for hours on this. All right.
Yeah, we better stop.
Any thoughts? Any last thoughts? We're good.
I'm done.
Apple should buy Lucid. Tim,
I agree.
You're welcome.
Or Canoe. Buy Canoe as well.
I disagree.
Apple. Buy both of them.
They thought about that, didn't they? I just personally think Lucid's going to go bankrupt if they don't get bought out. I don't think that business is sustainable.
But
on the last earnings call, I listened to the whole thing, and Peter was like, "We would rather deliver less cars with better quality control than more with bad quality control." And I was like,
"Well, that's the ideal scenario."
I felt like Yoda. That is why you fail. I was like, some people that you've interacted with, Mike, some people know that or think that's the better way to go about things. It's like, it doesn't matter how many you deliver. All that matters is that they're built well and they're perfect and there's no flaws. And it's like,
Mike, you
Tesla
poor
didn't
fool.
do that. And I think that Tesla had to do it that way. It's not that Tesla chose to not prioritize quality control. It was that if they did and slowed down deliveries, they wouldn't have survived. And I think we're going to find that out when...
Then they don't deserve to live.
I feel it.
They don't deserve to live.
It's going to be like Jeff Goldblum in The Lost World. And I'm going to be there the day you learn that.
Yes. Ah, la, di, da. Now,
Apple's
I will
got so
say-
much money.
People forget
They
that
could-
if you have a quality control issue, you schedule an appointment after you have your delivery. Get that fixed. It's
already worked out. It's a silly system, but it works. It's annoying when you take delivery of your
It's
car
annoying.
and then immediately
It's
you get
frustrating.
rid of it.
But I don't think there was another way to do that.
No.
I don't think if Tesla would have prioritized less deliveries just with better QC.
you can't. Not in the
that-
early adoption phase. We have to.
No.
The priority. You have to move the inventory. That is like mission statement number one. You have to keep moving. You got to keep the assembly line going. We're still in early, and that's what a lot of people forget. And I do excuse the quality control for it. We are early adopters. We are all early adopters still. Until we have at least 50% or more EVs on the road over gas, you are an early adopter. We just barely
In a way, yeah.
got
Relativity.
recognized by. Hey, the government just now is acknowledging and funding and aiding. When you have
Forward.
governmental support, it still counts. Like we're
GM.
still we're early in. We're early in. I know, but so they're not even. They're just now doing it when 2007? No, 2004, 5. Whenever the very first EV.
You said the longest final thoughts ever.
Oh yeah, are we closing up? Man, we could do this all day. I'm so jazzed.
Yeah, we could.
All right, Captain America.
Me too.
The point is, early adoption. It's still early adoption, and QC is not the end all be all. That's my final thought.
Yes. You're correct. I agree with you.
Oh,
Alrighty, bye everyone.
bye.
Have a great week. We'll catch you next time.